Join me to welcome Dr. Gbolahan Ogunbayo to our first edition of the show we will call The Rocky Road to Success. He has graciously agreed to join us for a little bit of his precious time and share some wisdom nuggets with us. Welcome, sir. How are you today?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm honored to join you on this medium. I remember those days of OAU,
Yeah.
SUB.
Yep.
There's hardly ever a time I see a pool table that I don't see your face. Very focused, with your equipments. Then
Yeah.
just say
Back
that.
in the day, there was a lot of
Yeah,
partying in college.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
A lot of that.
And it's amazing that we are on a different not different, I guess it's a continuum of that, and our experiences has definitely shaped where we are today. So
Yes, sir.
definitely very thankful for that. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for those who don't know him already, Gbolahan Ogunbayo MD is an internist and also, if I'm not mistaken, he has a specialty in cardiology too. Am I correct?
Correct.
That's correct. So, I would like um, us to shed some light on your journey to this place because I just said a few words now, but those words took you many, many years to
Yeah, yeah.
accomplish. So I don't want anybody to think that, you just pick that up on the shelf in Walmart. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, because we went to school together. I studied economics when you studied medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us your journey. Just summarize, because I know you could spend hours telling us what you've been through. Just
Yeah.
summarize how you came from Ife in Nigeria all the way to US, and then you got one specialty, and then yet another specialty. That's quite a remarkable. So please, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So the journey actually started all the way in Ife, like you said, but you might not even know this, that I was actually also born in Ife.
Oh wow, okay. That's
Yeah. I was born in Ife, and then, we're so-called the part of the quarters boys clique then. And then my parents left for work in different directions, and I started medical school in 97. And as you know, and maybe some of the people listening, with industrial actions and strikes and things like that, it took it took my class 8 years really to complete medical school. So it was 2 extra years. And after completing medical school, you had to do the mandatory house job, which is what we call internship here.
Okay.
And then I did a little bit of private practice here and there at that time as well. I got married, and it was a wedding that happened here in the US. We actually met on one of my vacation trips here. And at that point, after marriage, you have to decide what you do. Do you move here with family? Do you stay back home and do things? And I decided to move here at some point to be with my wife. And I started the hustle. First of all, I picked up some academic positions as an instructor or professor at some career colleges while I was getting ready for my board exams. I also knew that because I did not finish or graduate from a medical school in the US,
that's a problem.
I had to do a little more than the average person, like we all do, to get a spot. So while I was trying to raise one daughter then, I was also doing research. I was studying for the board exams, and I was trying to make some money to keep body and soul together.
Okay. Okay.
And after all that, uh, I got a pre-match, which was a rare thing at the time. I was starting my internal medicine residency in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
I was there for 3 years, and then I did an extra year of chief residency in Rochester, New York, and then I applied for cardiology fellowship, which I completed at the University of Kentucky Medical Center. And I applied and got accepted into another subspecialty fellowship, which is interventional cardiology.
Wow.
Those are we call ourselves the plumbers. So if there's a heart attack, and I forgot to mention as well that I'm on call tonight. Hopefully there's no heart attack, which I have to run. Yeah.
Hopefully.
But if there's a heart attack, then you have to leave everything you're doing and be there. Or if there's the blocked artery in a patient, and you have to try to open it up, either by putting a balloon and a stent, or just a balloon, or sometimes you might need to send them for bypass surgery, which is open heart. Okay. And I graduated from interventional cardiology about a year and a half ago. My hospital, or the university, decided to hire me, and because they knew I had penchant for practicing in the community, I was sent to a smaller community hospital, which is like 30 minutes from Lexington, Kentucky, where I currently practice.
Wow, that's a lot you've accomplished. When exactly did you land in the US?
Well, it was initially in 2016. After 2006, not 16. Okay. After I got married. And you start doing the back and forth. The family was here, but then you also didn't want to stop practice, so you always have that back and forth, especially with your parents. They don't want you to leave the country and they want you to stay there. But 2006 was when I initially moved over here to the US.
Okay. So between then and now, you've gotten 2 or 3 specialties.
3, yes.
So you make that sound like it's a walk in the park, but I happen to myself work in an internist office, so I have a pretty good idea of what just an internist does. That's a pretty big deal. And then you go ahead and have a specialty in cardiology, and then a subspecialty in interventional cardiology. And all this being an immigrant, how did you even get them to accept you in the first place? Because I know doctors that spent 12 years before they got their footing, before they got their first. So how did you navigate that hurdle? It's really hard on an immigrant.
Well, there's as a person of faith, you always want to talk about the impact your faith had in your journey, and I think it's always a good thing to acknowledge that part, because a lot of people work harder than you do, but never achieve half of what you have.
That's interesting.
And so there's definitely an X factor there.
Yes.
Now that said, the people that go through what you go through, like you said, they all have their stories, and my story is just the story of grit and just hard work. I never took no for an answer. I never allowed people to tell me what I could or couldn't do. When I initially started, they said, "Well, you've people know people, and then they introduce you and they tell you, you've been out of medical school since 2005. What have you been doing? And you try to tell them, well, I work back home, blah, blah, blah. All that doesn't count. And so, people at that point are already writing you off, and you can't do this. And I sat down with a friend of mine, and I had to get a blueprint. And I said, you need to do something that makes you stand out. And for you to do that, you have to dig deep, especially when it's not like you're a single guy or you don't have kids. And so you have to balance everything. So while I was working, trying to feed the family, I just contribute. I was also doing research. I was also studying for the boards. I was also, working and trying to live a balanced life. And so I was able to show up my resume a little bit before I actually applied.
Okay.
And when I applied, I was lucky enough to make a connection with one of the guys there. And through that, I had other offers, and people were telling me, you're so old, you're so out of medical school, you just need to take in whatever offer that comes and call it a day. But I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I continued to push. And then after that, we got there, myself and another Nigerian who was a year ahead of me. And they said, this hospital is not known to make out cardiologists. If you want to do cardiology, you shouldn't be in this hospital. I said, no, and you just kept working harder and harder and harder. And I started to do research on top of the regular chores of an internal medicine resident.
Yeah.
And then after I was chief, I didn't stop. Instead of stopping, I got people that had the same like minds together. We started working hard, doing more research. I went for an interview, and the program director saw me and said, I don't have any questions for you, but the only question for you is, how did you achieve this? How is your resume this way?
That's what I'm asking too.
We both burst out crying because he shared his story with me. I shared my story with him, and I've never had such an intimate interview with someone that, you're supposed to keep a straight face and all that. But that tells you that, your story inspires people. And you shouldn't stop. And his reaction also gave me more fire to keep going. Not just for myself, but also for the people coming behind, for sure. So that's the long version of the answer to your question.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer. One of the reasons why I decided to start this podcast, is a lot of people struggle with the concept, or if you like, the idea of financial independence. And there's this, I don't know if I should call it a lie or just misinformation, that education is no longer worth it, and that is actually a big lie, because it's just not true. Now, the reason why people say that is, there's a lot of people who go to school and can't find jobs, and that number seems to be increasing. But what they're not telling us is that if you're studying things that nobody wants to buy the service for, then why would you be surprised that you don't get a job,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like misinformation. It's not that there's anything wrong with education. If you go out there and you look at the job boards, you see all sorts of jobs that there's just nobody qualified to do it, because nobody, not a whole lot of people are, So if you have, what he's really trying to say to us is that you have to make the effort to differentiate yourself, make yourself valuable. And then, you'll find that doors will open. It'll be like it was easy, but really that journey is not an easy journey when you have to balance, your regular life with taking extra steps to differentiate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a convenient thing. It's not something that is pleasant, but he's good evidence that it works. It pays off. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
The other thing I would like to ask is, if you, based on what you've been through, if you were to advise someone who was coming up ahead of you, I mean, I know you're a medical specialist, a healthcare specialist, but just kind of life principles sort of advice, let's not limit it to healthcare. What would you say with to someone who's struggling, frustrated, feels like, things are not moving forward, I don't earn enough, I can't get a job, and I want to see change in my life. What would you say to such a person?
Nothing good comes easy. Um, you know, there's an adage from our culture, um, that says that it is what the bird has, the bird flies with.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to equip yourself with something to work with. And you're absolutely right talking about education. There is no way out of poverty without education.
Exactly right, sir.
Even if you have something else that takes you out of poverty, your lack of education or your unwillingness to educate yourself will probably draw you back.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that a lot with athletes that don't get financial education after they make all this money. Not just athletes, anyone that makes just that boom, steep rise, just like that big jump. If you're not educated, if you don't have financial literacy, you're going to lose all that money. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it starts all with education, but it's not just that. You've said a few things that I'm just going to kind of buttress. What do you have? Look at the market. What does the market want? And if your goal is I want to make a lot of money, you're not going to go and read or study Yoruba language in school, except someone has told you, well, there's a need for someone that has a BSc in Yoruba that will be making $1 million.
Yep.
My goal to get into healthcare was I want to serve. My mother was a nurse. Way back then in quarters and in OAU, you had a lot of these students that will come live with you because they're your mom's friend's daughter or your auntie that you're never related to. And so I got that love for medicine from there. And I knew quite all right that if I did well and I worked hard, that I would make a good living. But it's not just that. Do you quit when you don't succeed? Do you fight? Do you push? And how hard do you push? You can make anything and everything work if you hit it hard enough. So toe your line. Ask yourself the question: what does the world need? What can I give to the world? If it's music and you can sing, then get at it. Keep grinding and keep working hard, and don't stop. Don't take no for an answer, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. You need support because you're not an island. Networking is huge. A lot of people are talented, but they fail to network. And if you cannot network, especially in the US, in Nigeria, they call it Godfather or whatever other names. But if you cannot network, you find it very, very difficult because your knowledge and your synergy is going to be very, very limited.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that you should position yourself in a place where you're actually useful before you leverage your networking, or just networking alone will do
it? I think at the point where you're networking, hopefully you would already have a plan. You already be in a path because, I mean, I can't want to go into medicine, but I'm networking with engineers.
Okay.
So the first thing you want to do and ask yourself is, what do I want from life? What do I have to offer? What do I want to do? Mm. There's nothing wrong coming to the US after studying medicine back home and saying, okay, I'm done with that. I want to do something else, but you need to have a game plan. They say he who, fails to plan, plans to fail.
Yes.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to go to Harvard and you want to get a master's in public health and you want to go that route? In which case, you need to talk to people that have degrees in public health. Do you want to go into the medical field and do clinical medicine? Then you need to look for. Are you there?
Yeah, I lost you for a second, but
Sorry.
keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was trying to call. But if you can map out what you want and then start to focus your energy towards that, and then get the right networking partners in that field, then all your energy is directed towards one particular place. You know what you're doing, you know your focus, you can plan along the focus, then things will definitely work out.
Okay, thank you for that. I also wanted to ask, do you consider yourself to be naturally, quote unquote, brilliant, or you have to work hard to see the results you want?
No, I don't consider myself brilliant at all. Um, I consider myself blessed.
Okay.
Uh, in medical school, I was not top of my class. The people that succeed in life are not the most brilliant people. Most of the people that we try to, that we name drop when we're talking of success, some of them did not graduate college.
Uh-huh. And that's where that
some
misconception of you don't need an education comes from. That's where that misconception comes from.
So you see, they did not get formal education, but they were educated.
Exactly right.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And unfortunately, what they don't tell you is many times these guys actually go back and get furnished in some form of education.
Exactly. Some of them go back to school and get it done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But most of them will leverage the people who do have that knowledge to help them stay afloat.
It's about the seed, right?
Yeah.
If you cannot plant a seed, you better be able to spend money to buy the fruits from the market.
Exactly. One way or the other, you're going to need it.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely right, sir. So, there's a lot we could talk about, but I really appreciate you going through the trouble of taking this time to spend with us. I think we've spent about 25 minutes, and I know that people don't have a really long attention span these days, so we'll want to keep it short for their sakes. But we do appreciate you being here for our first edition of the program and sharing some of your wealth of knowledge. And just before you go, I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to share because in my own walk in life, I get people who approach me all the time. I need this, I need that, I need the other. And I want to tell them, you have no idea how hard I work to get what I do have, It's going to take some effort on your part if you want to get out of this place that you're in. But I find that many of them really don't want to make that change, and yet they want to see change. So I don't know if you have some words for people like that.
Well, I think culturally we come from a place where people see success as something that is unattainable, except if you have something dubious that you have done. They don't think that because you work hard that you should get something, because a lot of people work hard to their in their field and in their life, and they don't see much.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, you don't know the struggle that the seed had to go through while it was under the ground before it actually propped up as a tree.
Yeah.
And if you don't know my story, then you can't say anything.
This is true.
A lot of times you need to be able to pick out a seed that will germinate and grow. You can't say, I want to cultivate an almond tree, and then you plant a seed that is not viable. What are you spending your time on?
Yep.
How are you going to use what you have to get what you want? What are you investing in? You need to be good at your craft. You need to spend time to figure out how you can be a better person every day. You need to keep grinding and keep working at the same thing. Keep hitting that rock until it cracks.
Yeah.
People need to respect your hustle. They don't see it, and so they don't respect it. And that is the sad part. And that's why they come to you, because they think you had it easy. But no, in this country, no one has it easy. Definitely not us that came from other places.
Oh my goodness.
So oh no. So you just have to keep grinding. Yes. Don't stop. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. You might be walking slow. I mean, I have colleagues that we graduated together, and they probably had been practicing 4 years before I finished, because I took a different route.
Yeah.
I did some things. I wasted time. I wasn't focused initially. I was everywhere. I mean, I'm not gonna sit down and beat myself up for that, but I'm gonna wake up every day and keep grinding. And so for those people, I tell you, wherever you find yourself, whatever you find yourself doing, make your seed count. Keep grinding, keep running, keep pushing. Don't take no for an answer, and your breakthrough is gonna come someday.
Thank you very much for your precious time, sir. Last thing before we go, do you think you vaguely mentioned your faith somewhere along the line? Do you think that's a very strong factor in your success story?
Personally, I think yes. But actually there are no buts. The answer is yes. And that is just from my own personal perspective and how I've been raised and my experience as a human being.
Okay.
The Bible says, and I'll bring it in for those that are of that inclination, that faith without works is dead. And that is where we as a people, culturally, we miss the point. No matter how much you believe in an extraterrestrial power, in an omnipotent being, or whatever you believe in, if you don't put in the work, nothing is going to happen. And so while you look forward to your faith to be that X factor that not everyone has, you put in the work. Atheists and people that have other religions are also successful in life. And so it's not just because you have a particular or ascribe to a particular faith that you're successful. I believe in my own view that my faith has shaped who I am as a person. And that is where the success comes in, because my God did not come down from heaven to give me what I have. But the tenets from my spirituality has helped me make certain choices and do certain things in different ways to help me in my journey. So that's how I'll answer that question.
That's very well said. Thank you for sharing that. Again, we're blessed to have you here. I don't know if you know this, but one of my, well, let me put it like this. One of your teachers, my mom, I don't know if you remember her.
Oh, definitely. I remember Mama.
She's actually here. She lives with me now.
Oh, yeah? Oh, my God.
Did you want to say hi? Mommy?
Oh, definitely.
Just before we go, hold on a minute.
She might remember my mom too.
So she's 85 now.
Yeah.
Come this way, Mom. She has to come to the camera. So I'll be
Oh gosh.
Let's come this way. So just this way, come closer.
Hello, ma.
So Ogunbayo, can you see him?
Ogunbayo.
Ogunbayo,
Yeah, Ogunbayo. I'm Dupe Ogunbayo's son.
Dupe,
She used to be in health sciences. Yes.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
I see. That was a long time ago, eh?
Yeah, that was many moons ago.
A big man now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nice.
You are definitely one of the brightest spots of our pre-med. She was not just a great teacher; she was also a mother.
Yeah.
You know, when all the guys would look at us and we were all scared, we always run to her, and she was always the person that made us not hate physiology.
And it's really not anyway. Gotten over that though.
All right.
Yeah.
I think our time is up. I just thought I should surprise you with that one. And
thank you. Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So have yourself
a great surprise.
Yeah, have a nice evening ahead, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good
All righty.
Bye now.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.